My name is Clover Hogan. I'm a 23-year-old climate activist and the founder and executive director of a youth nonprofit called Force of Nature, which, rest assured, I will tell you lots about today. But before we kick off, I want to start with a little bit of a story. At the age of 16, was a climate activist, and I was invited to participate at COP21 in Paris. So the global meeting for leaders to come together and have a real conversation about the climate crisis, and not just a conversation, but actually translate words into action. And up until that point, my activism had very much been at the grassroots. I'm originally from Australia, for anyone who can pick up the accent, but I grew up in Indonesia. So my activism looked like tackling plastic pollution and working with grassroots farmers, setting up social enterprises with the local community. But at COP21, this was really the first time I was taking a global stage. This was the first time I was meeting people in historic seats of power who had real influence over this global agenda. And I remember going in with this really starry-eyed optimism. I thought, yes, finally, leaders are coming around the table to actually treat this climate emergency like one. Now, the first event that I showed up to was the Sustainable Innovation Forum. And what I was met with was a conference that was sponsored by the likes of Coca-Cola, BMW, Shell, iconic polluters and contributors to the climate crisis. I had never met so many leaders fluent in greenwashing. I'd never met so many policymakers capable of making commitments and promises scheduled far enough into the future that they required no immediate action. And for the first time in my journey as an activist, I remember feeling truly powerless. I knew the anxiety, I knew the frustration, but never before had I allowed myself to think, perhaps it is too late, and perhaps the problem is just too big. But the thing that I remember most from this forum is that as I sat in those feelings of powerlessness, I saw that same feeling reflected in the eyes of the people around me. I saw that powerlessness in the cautious corporate leaders. I saw it in the calculating policymakers. And of course, I saw it in my peers, and the young people feeling increasingly disillusioned and despairing, not just of the future, but of the present that we were inheriting. And for me, that was like a light bulb moment, because I realized that the threat, even greater than the climate crisis, is how powerless so many of us feel in the face of it. And in fact, we've had the technology, resources, aka money, and human ingenuity to solve this crisis for many decades. Yet critically, we lacked the mindset.